गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। चिन्मयं व्यापि यत्सर्वं त्रैलोक्यं सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। भवानी शङ्करौ वन्दे श्रद्धा विश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धा स्वान्तस्थमीश्वरम्। रामं भजे परन्धामं भजे रामं भजे परन्धामं भजे सारं भजे वेदसारं भजे सारं भजे वेदसारं भजे रामं भजे परन्धामं भजे सारं भजे वेदसारं भजे एकं भजे तारकाख्यं भजे एकं भजे तारकाख्यं भजे गम्यं भजे वागगम्यं भजे गम्यं भजे वागगम्यं भजे रामं भजे परन्धामं भजे बन्धुं भजे लोकबन्धुं भजे बन्धुं भजे लोकबन्धुं भजे रूपं भजे स्वरूपं भजे रूपं भजे स्वरूपं भजे ईशं भजे महीशं भजे ईशं भजे महीशं भजे शान्तं भजे भवान्तं भजे शान्तं भजे भवान्तं भजे रामं भजे परन्धामं भजे सारं भजे वेदसारं भजे सुगुणं भजे गुणरहितं भजे सुगुणं भजे गुणरहितं भजे शौरिं भजे असुरारिं भजे शौरिं भजे असुरारिं भजे रामं भजे परन्धामं भजे सारं भजे वेदसारं भजे एकं भजे तारकाख्यं भजे गम्यं भजे वागगम्यं भजे रामं भजे परन्धामं भजे रामं भजे परन्धामं भजे रामं भजे परन्धामं भजे चिदंशं विभुं निर्मलं निर्विकल्पं निर्मलं निर्विकल्पं निरीहं निराकारं ओंकारवाच्यम् ओंकारवाच्यम् गुणातीतमव्यक्तम् एकं तुरीयं परं ब्रह्मयं वेद तस्मै नमस्ते तस्मै नमस्ते विशुद्धं शिवं शान्तमाद्यन्तशून्यं जगज्जीवनं ज्योतिरानन्दरूपम् अदिग्देशकाल व्यवच्छेदनीयं त्रयीवक्तियं वेद तस्मै नमस्ते तस्मै नमस्ते लपन्नच्युतानन्त गोविन्द विष्णो मुरारे हरे नाथ नारायणेति नारायणेति यथानुस्मरिष्यामि भक्त्या भवन्तं तथा मे दयाशील देव प्रसीद तथा मे दयाशील देव प्रसीद देव प्रसीद Harihi Om. In the normal level of our living, we are generally identified with many things. Because we are identified with many things, our identification lands us up in many attachments, entanglements, and their products, agitations. In the beginning stages of our evolution as a human being, evolution of consciousness, we need to work on these identifications. Primarily, in the beginning stages, we are identified with our body. So, the statement, I am the body, is very commonly expressed. I am the body. I believe that I am the body only. So, the whole attention is upon those things which cater to the needs of my body, pleasures of my body, requirements of my body, so on and so forth. As we learn and start surrendering, learn about surrender, Sharanagati, the path of surrender, and start surrendering the very identification with the body, then slowly we come to another level of living, another level of consciousness, which says, I am not the body, but I am the mind. I am the mind. So whatever is there in the mind, as a content of the mind, as occurrences in the mind, as happenings in the mind, I am identified with all of them. Whatever thought arises, whatever feeling rises, whatever expression happens, whatever impression manifests, whatever tendency upsurges, I am identified with all of them. That also, those identifications also will not allow us to remain in true peace. Because any agitation in the mind, when I am identified with it, I will end up in more agitation. Because I become one with that. So, that will have a greater impact upon me. But slowly, when we learn the technique and the mechanism of surrender, that we need to surrender this identification with the thoughts, with the feelings, with the emotions, with various other kinds of things that are there in the mind, then slowly we come out of those identifications. Then we evolve into a higher level, where we come to the understanding that I am not the mind, I am not the body, I have already understood. Then I will understand that I am not the mind also. Then what am I? I am that which witnesses and experiences the mind, the emotions and the body. I am that which witnesses the mind. But still experiences the mind, the emotions, the body. And still further, if we go on journeying inwardly and continue to observe the inside, then this inner observation slowly and steadily leads us into the state of witness, where we get identified with and as the inner self. The inner self gets discovered. We come to the discovery of the inner self. Then the silent state of awareness that underlies all movements, all sounds, all activity, all feeling and all thought is discovered. Underlying all thought, all sound, all activity, all movement, all feeling is discovered. And that is discovered to be the timeless dimension of peace. This awareness, this silent state of awareness underlies all thoughts and all feelings. How much ever negative the feeling might be, disturbing the thought might be, distractive the sound might be, involving the activity might be, pulling the movement might be, but still underlying all these activities, movements and sounds and thoughts and feelings, there is this underlying silent state of awareness. That is discovered, that silent state of awareness. And then I understand that I am that silent state of awareness. When I get identified with this silent state of awareness, then I come to experience the real calmness, inner calmness, which is not dependent upon any external favorable situations, but it is the inner calmness, the inner stillness, the inner peace, which is the profound sense of inner peace I come to experience. And these experiences will take us further into a state where even this experiencer also is silenced. Experiencer-less experience, where I find myself as not different from that which is total peacefulness, complete stillness. That state of true awareness, I come to understand myself as that. Otherwise, we tend to think that we are the flickering images which appear on a screen. Many kinds of images appear on a movie screen. Flickering images, they come, they go. They will be there and afterwards they will go. But when they are there, they have a greater impact upon us. So we think that we are flickering images. But slowly, because of this understanding and experience of the silent state of awareness beneath all this activity, beneath all this physical, mental, emotional activity, then we come to see that we are no more the flickering images, but we are the screen itself. We are that screen which supports all these appearances of images, which unfolds the movie of life. And this screen ever remains non-judgmental. So we come to understand that we are that non-judgmental witness which allows the unfoldment of all kinds of things that are there in the movie, in the drama of life. But this witness, non-judgmental witness, has neither a beginning nor an end. And it is infinite in its potential. We come to understand that we are that infinite which has got limitlessness in its potentiality, and that witness has neither a beginning nor an end. It is beyond all the limitations of time, space, objectivity. So starting from I am the body, we come to that state where we will understand that we are that witness which has neither a beginning nor an end. But how do we come there? Through this path of surrender. Step by step, through this path of Sharanagati. Step by step. As we have already seen on the very first day, Gati and Sharana in combination, it is an entrance to divinity. Sharanagati is an entrance to divinity. Slowly, it will take us closer to the divinity. Even for Vaikuntha also, it is said in the Puranas that it has got 7 doors. Entrance to divinity, but there are 7. So slowly we have to go one after another. So when we think of Vaikuntha Natha, so the darkness of ignorance that is there representing as the Mura Rakshasa, so that Asura, so that Mura is killed, which is connected with Vaikuntha Ekadasi that is today also. And also it is said that Bhagavan, in order to achieve this, came down with crores and crores of devatas. So it is called as Mukkoti Ekadasi also. So, when we begin our journey with the surrender, we will finally be taken to that state of pure, non-judgmental witness which is beyond all limitations. So, to start with in the beginning stages, surrendering involves being aware of a feeling. So, being aware of a feeling. Letting it come up, allowing that feeling which is there inside to come up. Then we just stay with it. We stay with it and allow it to run its course. Because every feeling is backed by a pressure, built up pressure which is there inside, a stored up pressure, which may be the result of the suppressions and repressions. It is there inside. So because of that, these feelings are there, the negative feelings. So we need to allow them to come up, stay with them and allow them to run their course. While they are running their course, we should not attempt to bring about any change in them. Not even try to modify them. We need not do anything about them. Just simply allow the feeling to express itself. Let the feeling be there. And we need to focus on surrendering that feeling, allowing that feeling to go by itself. Once we allow that feeling to go by itself and surrender that, the energy behind that feeling also gets slowly dissipated and then finally disappears. So the first thing which is an important requirement here is not resisting that feeling which is coming up, not even venting it upon others, not fearing it, not condemning it, not moralizing about it, and not even judging it. Without doing any one of these things, allow that feeling to come up, let it be there and let it do whatever it wants to do. And we need to be mere onlookers. It is just a feeling. So this technique, the art of surrender, the technique of surrender means to be with the feeling. So many reasons might be there, causes might be there, happenings might be there, incidents might be there, behaviors might be there, dash of expectations might be there, disappointment might be there, so many things are there outside, externally happening. Because of that, the pressure, built up pressure which is there, it gives rise to feelings. We might be the controller of examinations in educational department, but we don't know how to control these feelings. We have to control. How to control? We know how to roll under the impact of them. So the best way here is, do not resist it, allow it to come up. So we need to surrender that feeling and surrender all efforts to modify the feeling in any way. We need to let go of the wanting to resist the feeling, because the resistance itself keeps the feeling there, allows that pressure to build up more and more and pile up more and more inside us. We look very great externally because of our money, because of our position, because of our status, because of our various other kinds of paraphernalia that are there. We think we are very great. People also may say we are very great. But when one feeling rises up inside us, we don't know how to handle it. Hundreds of thoughts, thousands of thoughts rise because of that feeling. One single feeling can give rise to thousands of thoughts. We can't handle a feeling. How can we handle the thoughts? We might look matured, we might have age behind us, but very simple fact is we don't know how to handle the feelings. We think we are that feeling, we think we own that feeling, we think we are identified, so we have to express that feeling. This is an illusion, because feelings are not connected with our real nature. They are not at all there in the real witnessing consciousness, in that inner self. They are made up things, they are learned things, they are illusory things. The real state of witnessing consciousness, there is no room and scope for these negative feelings. So that is why when we give up the very resistance and also the attempt to modify the feeling, then the feeling runs its course. We allow that feeling to go away. Once that feeling is running its course, we need to shift our attention onto something else. Then what happens? Then another feeling comes up. And then when we allow these feelings without any resistance to come up, slowly, they will disappear. And once they start disappearing, the energy behind these feelings, which is giving rise to these feelings, dissipates completely. Totally dissipates. That is the way to dissipate the source of these feelings which are negative. The source of the feeling that has to get dissipated. And that can be done through surrender, Sharanagati. Little son asked the dad, asked father, Father, oh dad, who is an idiot? What does it mean? Who is an idiot and what does it mean? Father said, an idiot is a person who tries to explain his ideas in such a strange and long way that another person who is listening to him cannot understand anything about it. Did you understand? Asked the father. The son said, no. Now we can understand who is an idiot now, according to his own explanation. Asked the boss to his employee, do you believe in life after death? Do you believe in life after death? And this employee said, yes sir, I believe in life after death. Then the boss said, well, then that makes everything just fine. Because after you left early yesterday to go to your grandmother's funeral, your grandmother stepped into the office to meet you. So because you believe in life after that, now everything is settled down. So he told that he has to attend the grandmother's funeral, and grandmother only came to see him. There was one boy who was trying very hard to impress upon the girl and to woo her. So he asked the girl, your place or my place? The girl said, both places. How? You go to your place, I go to my place. We have to keep the feelings in their place and displace the energy behind the feelings and send it out of that place. Otherwise, we will remain stuck in that level where we are. We need to silence so many thoughts that are there, but not by handling these thoughts, but by handling these feelings. So there was this guide who was taking people nearer to the majestic Niagara Falls in that boat. So he was explaining about the glory of the Niagara Falls, so on and so forth, and then he said, when we go close to these falls, underneath the falls, see, the sound of this majestic, glorious Niagara Falls is more than 10 supersonic jets, the sound of 10 supersonic jets. And then he said, my dear women who are talking, please keep quiet, otherwise we can't listen to the sound of the Niagara Falls. So now we can imagine more than 10 supersonic jets. But the point here is sound outside, sound inside. We can't remain there at the level of the sounds, getting distracted, getting identified, getting involved, thinking that that is the everything in life. Underneath those sounds, thoughts, feelings, there is this silent state of awareness. We need to get into that state through this beautiful mechanism of surrender, the technique of surrender. The doctor told the wife of the husband, your husband need to rest in peace. Here are the sleeping pills. Take. Then she asked, at what time I should administer these things to my husband? The doctor said, oh, these are not for your husband, they are for you. I said, he needs to rest in peace. That doesn't mean he has to take. You need to take, to allow him to rest in peace. If we want to experience peace at the mind level, we need to handle something that is behind that. We need to get related to that, and then through the mechanism of surrender, get connected with that and handle that very successfully. When surrendering the feelings that are there, we need to ignore all kinds of thoughts that arise. And we have to totally focus on the feeling itself and not on the thoughts. Because thoughts are endless and they are self-reinforcing and they only generate more thoughts. Thoughts, according to some masters, are mere rationalizations of mind, trying to explain the presence of feeling. Whereas the real reason for the feeling is the accumulated pressure behind the feeling that is forcing to come up in that given moment. The accumulated pressure is trying to come up, and that is why these feelings are there, and these feelings are giving rise to so many thoughts. External events that are there are only excuses that are made up by the mind. All external events are excuses. The real cause is the built up pressure inside. We did not handle these feelings properly for ages. So these pressures are built up. From births together, these pressures are built up. That is why an external situation is an excuse for the pressure to come up, get released. And that gives rise to these feelings and the feelings to thoughts. So all negative feelings are associated with the basic emotion called as fear related to our survival. So from that standpoint, when we look at the feelings, feelings are merely survival programs. These are all programs that are there inside. And the mind believes that these feelings are necessary. But actually the feelings come and then go. And slowly when we keep on observing, eventually we come to the realization that feelings are not really real. Because when we start witnessing them, slowly they go out of existence. We remain as witness, with witness, in witness. So we need to stop identifying with them, then we slowly come to the real I, which is a true observer, the real awareness. As we become more and more aware of the changeless witness that is there inside, which is within, we begin to identify ourselves with that level of consciousness which is divine. The more closer we go to witness, the more nearer we are to that divinity. Slowly we get rooted in this witness. Earlier we were the experiencer of the phenomena, now we are the true witness. Then we get closer to the real self. And then we come to understand that all the while we were duped by the feelings. Earlier we used to think that feelings are real, feelings are important, feelings are necessary, all the negative feelings I mean. We were duped by all these feelings. And now we come to understand, when we reach closer to that inner self, that feelings are all illusory. Feelings are not connected with our real nature. They are merely, all the negative feelings are merely created by the ego. This ego is the collector of all programs, which the mind has mistakenly believed that they are necessary for survival. So the mind believes that these programs, these feelings, everything that is created by the ego is necessary for survival. That is the reason why we have to understand that we need to surrender all these things. When something is totally surrendered, completely surrendered, fully surrendered, it disappears from our consciousness. It disappears from our mind. But we need to surrender it completely, totally. But the ego will play its pranks. It will not allow us to surrender. It will start creating confusion about the very surrender. It will make us forget the mechanism of surrender, the technique of surrender. The ego will make us doubt the very art of surrender. Suddenly, the ego will lead us into escapism. Instead of handling the feeling, we escape from the feeling. Or ego will lead us into venting the feelings. We start bursting out upon others, intimidate others, frighten others, threaten others, chase others away. Because we don't know how to handle the feeling, we dump it on others. And we justify it also with a tag, it is for your improvement. Inability to handle the feelings. Or we justify, it is for the sake of the development of the world, which I have taken it up as my duty and responsibility. The simple fact is I don't know how to handle the feeling. That is why it is said that the ego will play all kinds of tricks. So we need to be very alert to these tricks of the ego and allow the feeling one after another to come up and then surrender. Come up and then surrender. And not at all allow the resistance to surface and then stop us from surrendering. Keep on surrendering, keep on surrendering. Because once you have taken up this as a spiritual practice, we need to understand one thing, that we are getting out of all programs. And ego will not allow us to get out of this program because it will lose its control, it will lose its power, it will lose its authority, it will lose its position. Who will want to lose the position, power and authority? Externally, whatever power comes to us for a very brief period of time. But ego had been powerful since ages. Why will it lose the power? It will not. These programs that are there inside have made us the slave, have made us the victim for a long, long time. And these programs have blinded us to the truth of our own reality, our own inner being. These programs did not allow us to know ourselves, our own real being, our own truth. We think we know so many things, but we don't know truth about our own being. Why? Because these programs have stopped us from knowing this. Ego might interfere in this practice of surrender and say, this technique of surrender will not work properly. We will get a thought, it will not work. The ego will play its dirty tricks. And suddenly, the ego may say, oh, I can't remember this technique, the surrendering technique. It is very confusing. It is not clear. But even after I started, things are still the same. These are all tricks and bluffs played by the ego to stop us from surrendering. Because the ego knows the surrendering technique will cut it asunder. It will tear it into pieces. It will render the ego powerless and all programs will be smashed. That is why it will not allow us to surrender. It will keep us enslaved to its own programs. That is why we have to understand the ego is not our real friend. The inner self is the real friend. It will lead us into misunderstandings, confusions, distractions, diversions, and make us believe that they are real. We had been believing that they are real since beginning of our journey as an ego. There was a person who went to the bank to open a savings bank account. And then the person behind that counter there gave him the application form. After seeing the application form, he went to New Delhi to fill it up. After seeing the application form, this person went to New Delhi to fill it up. You know why? Because in the form it was said, fill up in capital. So fill up in capital, he went to the capital to fill up. Filling up could have done just there if it had been understood properly. The ego will take us like that. A simple statement, fill up, it will say go to capital and fill up. A simple feeling, surrender, we are out of it, it will not allow. It will make us believe it is important, it is real, it is so precious. How can you let go of it? And then we get stuck there. And thousands of thoughts happen, we don't know what to do with them. Then we go mad. It will not allow us to behave properly. A photographer was there who went to cover a funeral function, a funeral, and then he was focusing on the dead body. All of a sudden, all the relatives of the dead person started beating up the photographer. You know why? So he stood in front of the dead body and said, "Smile please." Habit, because of his habit. Smile please. The moment their relatives heard, "Oh, this fellow is trying to play with the dead. What does he think?" They started beating. The ego will keep us mechanical in our handling of the situations externally and internally. It will not allow us to understand the things properly. There was a person who was taken to the court on some charges. Because there was so much of commotion in that courtroom, the judge pounded his gavel on the table and then said, "Order, order." And this fellow said, "Scotch and soda." So he thought the judge is asking him order. There was another person who took his car to a parking lot and then started taking the two wheels out of that car. The other person who parked his car looked at him and said, "What are you trying to do? Why are you doing this? Why are you taking two wheels out of your car?" He said, "Did you not see the board? It says, this place is for two-wheeler parking." Two-wheeler parking. So two wheels, if I take it out, two-wheeler parking. Confused understanding. It thinks it is right. Just because series of activities are there, it thinks it is right. This is where Sharanagati tells us that the ego will not allow us to surrender. It is very cunning and political minded. It will not allow. It wants to keep its hold on us. One person asked his friend, "What is the difference between watch and a wife?" The other person said, "The difference between watch and a wife is, if they are out of order, one stops, another starts." Like that, our mind also does not know when to stop, where to stop, what to start, when to start, how to start. Because the ego will keep on misleading it. Surrender is a very important technique. It's a very important practice. Instead of thinking about it, we need to implement it. Because we had been seeing in our lives, any simple change that happens externally in anybody, in a situation, in a thing, in a person, in the mannerism, in the behavior, suddenly makes us think too much about it, and there is an upsurge of a feeling and manifestation of so many thoughts. We get identified with them identified with the feeling, and then we justify that feeling. We tend to support that feeling and thoughts and react and start arguing and start fighting and get into conflict and get more agitated and create more agitation in the others also and become more egoistic and pile up more pressures, and then which generate more feelings. This is going on. This is what we are doing. Looking at the world, suddenly we get a feeling, and then we think that is real because it is our feeling, and then we want to justify it, and then we want to dump that feeling, expression of that feeling, because we are unable to handle the feeling and thoughts, we dump those things on others. This is what we are doing. In relationship, this is what is happening. Whatever we are, wherever we are, whether we are in the Brahmacharya Ashrama or Gruhastha Ashrama or Vanaprastha Ashrama or Sannyasa Ashrama, whichever ashrama it is, whichever stage of life we are, whether we are beginning as a schoolgoer or we are on the verge of retiring, we are almost the same as far as the handling of feelings is concerned. Any simple remark, somebody doesn't follow what we say, and somebody suddenly says what we don't want them to say. We think when some feelings appear in our mind and then thoughts are created because of our habit of identifying, we think, that is all real. This is real. So if it is real, then I have to do something about it. So I do. And the other person also thinks the other person's feelings real, opinions real, beliefs real, thoughts real, reactions real, opposition real. So opposition continues. And again fighting starts. Both of the people think they are real, feelings are real, and they fight. And the fighting is real now. And there is so much of loss, energy loss, peace loss. So much happens, but nobody knows who is the cause for it. And each person thinks the other person, because of the other person I am having the feeling, and this person, because of this person I am having the feeling. Both justify and continue to fight and become more peaceless. This goes on for years and sometimes for births. Never-ending phenomena. And then somebody comes and says, you have to stop thoughts. And this fellow starts, how to stop thought? First we can't know how many thoughts are there. And we don't know how to deal with. Then we're stopping thoughts. A big illusion to stop thoughts. Because mind belongs to Maya. Maya belongs to God. Maya keeps on dumping thoughts in the mind. How can you stop? How can I stop? We need to go beyond the Maya to stop. And there is only one person beyond the Maya, that is the Divine Being. Only when we surrender unto Him, then we can go beyond it. But that big surrender will not happen unless and until we surrender these small things here. Thoughts, feelings, these need to be surrendered. The pressure, the energy behind the feeling has to be surrendered. So in the technique of surrender, we are merely utilizing our own inner nature to become free, to attain happiness. That is what surrender gives us. It makes us free, it gives us happiness. More surrender, more peace and more happiness. Because all resistance comes only from thoughts, and these thoughts are mere images that mind has made up to prevent us from experiencing what actually is. Mind makes up thoughts to prevent us from experiencing what actually is, what we actually are. These are all made up things by the mind. And then we believe it to be real. The boss came early to the office and he saw his manager kissing his lady secretary. The boss's lady secretary was being kissed by the manager. Is this what you are being paid for? Asked the boss to the manager. Is this the reason why you are being paid for? The manager said, no sir, this is free of cost. Identifying with the thoughts and feelings is free of cost, but it is very costly afterwards. And we can't estimate how costly it is. We do not know also how much loss it creates in our lives. There was one person who dialed the phone number of someone named Sita. He dialed the phone number of someone named Sita. So, somebody answered the phone. I am Sita. Then he said, Hare, how come? I dialed to Delhi, how it went to Ayodhya? He suddenly got a thought. It went to Ayodhya. And then when he said that, the voice on the other side said, Kaun chahiye aapko? And this man said, Shri Ramchandra ji. And the voice on the other side said, आप ही से मिलने के लिए गए. He started out of the house to meet you. We can get entangled like this in anything. It starts off just like that, because thought after thought, feeling after feeling, emotion after emotion, then there's so much reaction after it goes on. So that is why in the path of surrender, it is said, if we keenly look at our thoughts and truly understand this mechanism of the mind to keep us engaged in thoughts so that we don't become aware or get closer to our own true nature, what we really are, what actually is. These are all made up things by the mind, because thoughts are fakes, they are make-believes which obscure the truth. Once we know this, we can only laugh at them. We can only laugh at them. And when we begin to laugh at our own thoughts, we know how to laugh at others. But when we begin to laugh at our own thoughts, then these thoughts start losing the magical charm which they have over us, the pull that they have. The real self which is there, some of the masters say, it is like the space between the thoughts. But in truth, it is like the substratum of the very thought. The substratum out of which the thoughts arise. The quiet, silent, tranquil state of awareness is that support, is the substratum for the whole mind, for the thoughts. So, when a thought rises, when a feeling rises, and because of the feeling when thoughts rise, and underneath the feeling the pressure is there, which is also called as an emotion, emotional pressure, we need to go still further, beneath that very pressure, and then we come to discover the silent state of awareness, which is underneath all thoughts. So when a thought rises, instead of getting involved with the thought, we need to become conscious of the thought and then go beneath that thought. Vishuddham param satchidananda rupam. Vishuddham param Satchidanandarupam Satchidanandarupam Gunadharamadhara Gunadharamadhara Hinam Varenyam Hinam Varenyam Mahantam Vibhantam Mahantam Vibhantam Guhantam Gunantam Guhantam Gunantam Sukhantam Swayam Dhama Ramam Prapadye Sukhantam Swayam Dhama Ramam Prapadye Ramam Prapadye Vishuddham Param Satchidanandarupam Gunadharamadhara Hinam Varenyam Mahantam Vibhantam Gunantam Gunantam Sukhantam Swayam Dhama Ramam Prapadye Sukhantam Swayam Dhama Ramam Prapadye Ramam Prapadye Ramam Prapadye Prapatti, Prapannam both are linked with Sharanagati. Prapadye, Prapatti, Prapannam all are connected with Sharanagati. How? With total devotion. So, when it is said Ramam Prapadye, it means with total devotion, I completely surrender unto Sri Rama. Ramam Prapadye. With total devotion, I completely surrender unto Sri Rama. So we need the divine form. We had been seeing Vishnu Bhujanga Prayata Stotram, then Bhavani Astakam, then Panduranga Astakam. Then now this sloka is from Rama Bhujanga Prayata Stotram by Adi Shankara. With total devotion, I completely surrender unto Sri Rama. Who is this Sri Rama? How is he? Who is he? Who is Vishuddham Param Satchidananda Rupam. Vishuddham. He is Vishuddham. Absolutely pure. Not a blemish, not a spot, not a stain of anything other than himself. Other than that pure Brahmic consciousness, Sri Rama Tattva, there is nothing else other than him, in him, with him. He alone is as he is. There is nothing other than whatever he is. Nothing else other than him. That is why Vishuddham. Vishuddham Param Satchidananda Rupam. So Vishuddham, absolutely pure, free from all imperfection. There is no imperfection at all. So if we want to get out of imperfections, if we want to be free from all imperfection, if we want to attain purity, whom we have to surrender unto? The one who is absolutely free from all imperfections, who is absolutely pure. No stains, no mala. So he is totally pure. We need to surrender unto someone who is like that. Vishuddham Param. Param means highest supreme spirit. To that we have to surrender, not to thoughts and feelings and mechanisms of the ego. We have to surrender to that Param, the highest supreme spirit. And what is the nature of this? Vishuddham Param Satchidananda Rupam. Satchidananda Rupam. It is Sat, the existence, Chit, the consciousness, Ananda, the bliss. We have elaborated this at various points of time, so we just go through this. Satchidananda Rupam. Everything that exists is existing because of this Sat. All that we know through senses, through mind, through intellect, whatever ways we know is made possible by this knowledge, which is consciousness, which is Chitta, illumining principle. Whatever we experience as pleasure, happiness, joy, bliss, it is various other forms of Ananda Swarupa, which is our own true nature. Satchidananda Rupam Gunadhara Madhara Hinam Varenyam Gunadharam. He is the support of all gunas, of all things that are there in this creation. All qualities all people have, all properties which all objects have, all beings have, all of them are supported by Him only. Gunadhara Madhara Hinam Varenyam. If He is supporting all qualities, all properties, then He must be filled with qualities and properties. No. Adhara Hinam. He is by Himself. He needs no other support. He doesn't take any support of anything and anyone. He is the substratum for all the gunas, all the qualities, all the properties, but He does not need any support. He lends support to everything. He doesn't need support of anything. To such a person we have to surrender for our support. Who can support us? Who needs no other support and who is by himself. Such a person only can really support. All other people who say they support, they can withdraw support anytime because their support only is not theirs. They are depending on other support and who are depending on somebody's support. So it's all interconnected. So anytime, any day, because of any reason the support can go, can be withdrawn. The support can land up in port and then disappear into the ocean afterwards. The only one who can support us always is the one who needs no support. So, Gunadhara Madhara Hinam Varenyam. Varenyam means the Sreshta Purusha, meaning the best, the most excellent. Varenyam means the best. Varenyam means the most excellent. Varenyam means most happy. That which is the best and the most happy. And Varenyam also means dearest beloved. God is our dearest beloved. By the virtue of He being Varenyam and Sreshta, He is dearest beloved. And He is the happy dearest beloved. If we have a beloved who is dearest and happy, Areva, how nice life will be. Wife or husband or any friend or any partner, business partner, any partner anywhere, if the dearest beloved and happy always, See, that is what God is. That is what Ramachandra is. He is dearest, He is our beloved, He is always happy. That is why He is Varenyam. We have to surrender unto such a person who is ever happy and who is very close. Not to the fellow who is very far or not to the person who is very close but always in misery. Always in agitation, always having an evil eye upon us. What is the point in surrendering to such a person? Surrender unto someone who is ever happy. Mahantam Vibhantam Guhantam Gunantam. Mahantam, He is the greatest. Vibhantam, the one who shines continuously, uninterruptedly, externally, internally, all around, everywhere. He is always shining, continuously, uninterruptedly, ever shining, ever illumining, ever manifesting the light and glory of divinity, the light of the self, the light of the Brahman, the light of the Antaratman, ever manifesting. That light which cannot see the darkness, which cannot allow us to get stuck in the darkness, get drowned in the darkness, get engulfed by the darkness. That light. So if we invoke and surrender unto such a person, such a divine being who is light, He will fill our lives also with light of knowledge of self. and light of knowledge of surrender, by which we can transcend all limitations and all bondages and all entanglements. Mahantam, Vibhantam, Guhantam, Gunantam. Guhantam, one who is beyond the intellect. Intellect here is called as Guha. So beyond the intellect. He is beyond the intellect. Intellect also cannot reach him. It fails to understand him, know about him, rationalize him, analyze him. We need to transcend the intellect. So the one who is beyond the intellect can truly guide the intellect, can make the intellect sharp, and can make the intellect yoke itself completely unto himself. Mahantam, Vibhantam, Guhantam, Gunantam. Gunantam, one who is on the other side of the gunas. He is beyond the gunas, the other side of the gunas. We are on this side of the gunas, he is on the other side of the gunas. Sukhantam Swayam Dhama Ramam Prapadye. Sukhantam Swayam Dhama Ramam Prapadye. Sukhantam is the source of happiness. If we want Sukha, we have to go to only to him, because he is the source of happiness. Unending source, infinite source, never-ending source, ever manifesting source of happiness. He is always manifesting happiness. Sukhantam Swayam Dhama Ramam Prapadye. Swayam Dhama, he is his own abode. There is no other abode for him. Swayam Dhama. Parandhama is Swayam Dhama. All of us have to go somewhere in order to get something. He is everything. He is everywhere. He need not go anywhere. He need not get anything, because he is Swayam Dhama. He is Satchidananda. So he is Swayam Dhama. He is his own abode. He has nothing to seek, nothing to gain, nothing to go for gaining anything, nothing to run away from anything. He need not run away from anything. He need not chase anything. Such a person alone can help us get what we want. If I am also busy in my own thing, what I will help you? I have my desires to fulfill, I have my feelings to express, I have my reaction. What I will help you? My guidance is only petty, paltry, limited thing. In between my two moments of agitation, I may appear to you as peaceful, and then in that illusory peacefulness I may guide you and you think it is real. That is what it is. Who can be really above and beyond all these things? Ramachandra only, nobody else. Swayam Dhama, he is his own abode. Nowhere else to go. Nothing else is more higher than him, greater than him. There is nothing beyond him, so that he has to go there. He is his own abode. And such a being, such an abode comes to us in the form of Sri Rama. Because we can't understand that formless, shoreless, nameless, expressionless, appearanceless divinity. So the divine being comes in this form for our sake. That is why Adi Shankaracharya ji, who always speaks about that state of Advaita Tattva, alone guides us to surrender to Sri Rama Tattva. He alone can say that. Both are not different. Swayam Dhama, Sri Rama. Sri Rama is Swayam Dhama. Parandhama, of course, is Swayam Dhama. That is the beauty. That is why we have to surrender unto him. If we surrender unto one, the one who is Swayam Dhama, he will take us to our Swayam Dhama, because it is not different. There are no two, there is only one. So he will take us to that. Shivam Nityamekam Vibhum Tarakakhyam. Shivam Nityamekam Vibhum Tarakakhyam. Vibhum Tarakakhyam. Sukhakaramakara. Sukhakaramakara. Sunyam Samanyam. శూన్యం సమాన్యం శూన్యం సుమాన్యం మహేశం కలేశం మహేశం కలేశం సురేశం పరేశం సురేశం పరేశం నరేశం నిరీశం నరేశం నిరీశం మహీశం ప్రపద్యే మహీశం ప్రపద్యే మహేశం కలేశం సురేశం పరేశం సురేశం పరేశం నరేశం నిరీశం మహీశం ప్రపద్యే మహీశం ప్రపద్యే. The beautiful poetic style of Adi Shankaracharya ji explaining about the Rama Tattva and the path of surrender. So, Mahisham Prapadye, again Sri Ramachandra Prabhu, with total devotion, I completely surrender unto Sri Ramachandra ji, because he takes care, he alone can take care. So, how is he? Who is he? Shivam nityamekam vibhum tarakakhyam. Shivam nityamekam vibhum tarakakhyam. Shivam, he is the most auspicious. He is auspiciousness. Auspiciousness at its highest level is the final beatitude, the Brahmic blissfulness. That is auspiciousness at the highest level. Shivam means that. Shivam nityamekam. You and I are also entertaining auspicious thoughts, best wishes for others, blessings for others, prayers for others, but time bound, mood bound, situation bound. But he ever. That is why Shivam Nityamekam, Nityam, eternal, always present, there since eternity, ever since the creation began, he is there. Before that also he is there. But we can understand only from something beginning. He is there. Eternity, he is there. He is eternal, Nityam. Shivam Nityamekam, Ekam. Ekam, one without a second. Ekam, one who has no differences of any kind. Sajatiya, Vijatiya, Swagata, Bheda, Rahita. Iti Ekam. He is Ekam, one. No differences of any kind. One who has no differences of any kind in self will not give any importance to differences outside oneself. One who has too many differences inside will only give importance to differences outside, create more differences which are not there also, contributing to more differences and differences. Shivam Nityamekam, he is Ekam, one without a second. He alone is, there is nothing else. Nothing else happens inside him, no happening whatsoever. In Brahman, nothing happens. Nothing can ever happen in that Brahmic state of consciousness. Your mind, it can happen. My mind, it can happen. In creation, it looks as if it is happening. But in Brahmic state of consciousness, as Brahmic state, nothing ever happens. Happening itself is not there. It is beyond all happenings. That is why Ekam. To happen, there has to be something other than oneself. Then only there can something be there called as happening. Shivam Nityamekam Vibhum Tarakakhyam. Vibhum, again, he who pervades everything, existing everywhere, is called as Vibhum. Because he is pervading everything, he is in me also. He is existing everywhere, so he can come from anywhere also. If we ask his protection, if we seek his shelter, if we ask him that I surrender unto you Rama, please take care of me, he can come from anywhere because he is everywhere. Otherwise we keep calling the fellow who has to protect us, no call connection. Message doesn't go. Email doesn't go, goes into something else. And then try to go, he is somewhere. And then finally you trace him, he collapsed because of ill health. What a protection. He is the one who is everywhere. Nothing can touch him. He is ever in his own state. So he alone can protect us. Shivam nityamekam vibhum tarakakhyam. Vibhum tarakakhyam. Tarakakhyam means one who makes his worshippers transcend all limitations. All that we need to do is, oh Prabhu, I surrender unto you, I worship you. He will make us transcend. Nothing else is required. Worship Rama, transcend all limitations. Another meaning is, those who perform his Nama Japa, Rama 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 Rama, he will make all such people go beyond all bondages. All bondages, all limitations we can transcend, we can go beyond all bondages merely by surrendering unto Sri Rama, because he is Tarakakhyam. Shivam nityamekam vibhum tarakakhyam. Sukhakara makara sunyam sumanyam. Sukhakara makara sunyam sumanyam. Sukhakaram. If at all we say that he has a form, he is of the form of happiness. Anything and everything, every cell, every iota, every micron, every particle is nothing but bliss. That is why in the divine body, everything is bliss, everything is happiness. That is why those people in those times of the divine manifestation, wherever they were, if they were closer to that divinity, every cell was happiness. They need not go into Jnana Marga, Bhakti Marga, other Marga. By very proximity, they will be in bliss. Now that is the greatness of the divine being, divine manifestation. Everything is bliss. There is nothing else other than that. Sukhakaram akara sunyam sumanyam. Sukhakaram, oh, he is a form. Akara sunyam. He is akara sunyam. He, for himself, he has no akara. He doesn't need akara. For you and I, he has to take akara and sakara. Because in order to arrest our vikara, he has to take sakara and akara. So many vikaras, modifications are there in our mind. How we can get over them? So, one akara, one sakara. That is the reason why he has taken a form. Sukhakara makara sunyam sumanyam. Akara sunyam. There is nothing. Nothingness. But sumanyam. He is greatly worshipped. He is the one who is greatly worshipped. He is the Vishnu Bhagavan. It is Vaikunthanatha who is worshipped. Greatly worshipped. He alone is. Mahesham. Next one, Mahesham, the great God. He is the great God. Mahesham, Kalesham, Suresham, Paresham. Mahesham, Kalesham, Suresham, Paresham. He is Mahesha, the greatest God, the great God. Mahesham, Kalesham, Kalesham. He is the God of all colors, all art forms, Sangeeta, Sahitya, Natya, this, that, whatever art forms, 64. He is the God of all colors. If we also want any color to manifest in us, we have to worship him. He has all the colors. He is Kalesha. Mahesham, Kalesham, Suresham, Paresham. Suresham. He is the God and Lord of all devatas. All devatas of all lokas. He is the God of all of them. Suresham Paresham. Paresham. Paresham means He alone is Brahma. He alone is Vishnu. He alone is Maheshwara. He alone is the combination of all the three. Ishvara. He alone is the one who is not different from Brahman. Only functionally Ishvara, but actually Brahman. He alone is. He alone is Trimurtis. Paresham, He alone is the Trimurtis. Naresham, Nirisham, Mahisham, Prapadye. Naresham, He is the God of all human beings. God of all of us. He is our God. Like we say, our leader, our friend. Our God. He is our God. He is there only to serve us, help us, uplift us, take us out of all suffering, pain, agony, and take us closer into His own state of reality. Naresham, Nirisham. Nirisham, normal meaning is a plough. But when we go deeper into this meaning, then it comes to the one who is not crooked, meaning straight. And also another deeper meaning is beyond the Nirisham also means beyond the manifestation even as God. The same supreme consciousness manifested as God even before, beyond that manifestation. That which is not even manifested as God, that also can be understood as the meaning of Nirisham. Naresham, Nirisham, Mahisham Prapadye. Mahisham, the God of whole earth. We are living on this earth, the God of whole earth. Earth stands for all senses, sense organs, sense objects, sense impulses, everything. So He is the God of all. To such a God, we surrender ourselves. When we surrender unto Sri Ramachandra, who has all these divine qualities, we have to say, from our end, for our sake, but He is beyond the gunas. So when we surrender unto Him, He will uplift us. So any thought, any feeling, do not bother about the thoughts. When the feelings are there, they are all because of the pressures that are inside, because we don't know the substratum. If we can surrender unto the substratum, they can all dissolve into Him only. They all came from Him. They will go back unto Him if we surrender unto Him. All that we need to do is surrender. Yada varnayat karna mulenta kale Shivo Rama Rameti Rameti Kashyam Tadekam Param Taraka Brahma Rupam Bhajeham 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 Namah Satchidananda Rupaya Tasmai Namo Deva Devaya Ramaya Tubhyam Namo Janaki Jiviteshaya Tubhyam नमः पुण्डरीकायत अक्षाय तुभ्यं सदा राम रामेति नामामृतं ते सदा राममानन्द निष्यन्दकन्दं पिबन्तं नमन्तं सुदन्तं हसन्तं हनुमन्तमन्तर् भजेतं नितान्तं हनुमन्तमन्तर् भजेतं नितान्तं प्रसीद प्रसीद प्रचण्ड प्रताप प्रसीद प्रसीद प्रचण्डारिकाल प्रसीद प्रसीद प्रसन्नानुकम्पिन् प्रसन्नानुकम्पिन् प्रसीद प्रसीद प्रभो रामचन्द्र प्रसीद प्रसीद प्रभो रामचन्द्र प्रभो रामचन्द्र सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतङ्गमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ